So I'm going to talk about artificial sweeteners. So I actually got this question from somebody who sent me a question on my email list. Her name is Emily, who said, "Hey, Dr. Islam, what are my thoughts on artificial sweeteners?" So very good question. Here's what we know about artificial sweeteners based on the data. So obviously, you know, artificial sweeteners are things to help sweeten up your food so you don't have the calories that sugar typically will bring for you. Now we know it does a couple things to your gut. Number one, it does change your gut microbiome, and not for the better. You increase your inflammatory bugs by having artificial sweeteners. You decrease some of the good bacteria as well. And by doing that, you actually cause more inflammation to occur. But the second thing that very commonly happens is that a lot of people don't realize that they cannot metabolize or get rid of artificial sweeteners. Very common reason why you may be having bloating, dissension, and diarrhea. And so one of the first things I recommend when somebody has bloating is to cut out those artificial sweeteners, because that may be the root cause. Because what happens is that whenever you can't metabolize or digest those artificial sweeteners, they go in their gut and cause a big explosion to occur of bad bacteria, diarrhea, bloating, and things like that. Now, when you look at the evidence about weight loss, because that's the reason why people want to take artificial sweeteners, is to help reduce weight, what we have found is that you actually do not lose weight by taking artificial sweeteners. You actually may increase the weight. A couple different reasons why. Number one is that whenever you have an artificial sweetener, mentally or psychologically, you think, okay, I have something that's kind of diet and it doesn't have sugar. I can maybe cheat and have something that may be more sugary. And when you look at the studies for patients who take artificial sweeteners, that's exactly what they do. Number two is that artificial sweeteners make things super sweet, meaning that you actually don't realize that, hey, this is really sweet, I'm gonna eat more and more of this. So you actually are increasing your caloric intake as well. And number three, we don't realize is that whenever you have something sweet, you actually increase your appetite. But what happens when you have artificial sweeteners is that because it has no calories, you are artificially increasing your appetite, but not suppressing it because you're eating no calories with that. Versus having something that actually has sugar in it, you actually are increasing your appetite, but suppressing it by having those calories that are associated in that. So instead of taking artificial sweeteners, there are three other sweeteners I recommend. Number one is date sugar. Number two is maple sugar. Number three is agave. These are the three sweeteners I would recommend as a replacement for artificial sweeteners. So, Margaret, good question. This includes stevia. So stevia is actually considered to be okay. And so I have no problem with stevia whatsoever. Very good question.